let's get to our topic of the week, which is things we cannot believe. All right. 4 things each that we cannot believe about this NBA season so far. I'm going to let you tee off.
So you didn't share yours with me, but something tells me there's not going to be too much intersection of these two circles. I'm going to start a little chalk here. I can't believe the only good thing happening with the Sixers is Jared McCain. I just cannot believe it. With a team that has Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid, the only good thing that's happening is Jared McCain. They have 3 wins on the season. McCain's last 9 games, 18, 27, 23, 34, 29, 20, 20, 30, and 18. He's shooting exactly 40% from 3, right? 40 for 100. This is a number that I found interesting. We were just talking about all the assists. 82% of those 3-point shots are assisted. So if you look at someone like my guy LaMelo Ball, it's probably like 14% are assisted. Let's be honest.
0%.
Yeah, it's like maybe a couple, maybe a couple off an offensive rebound or something. But he's been well documented what he does, right? And I'm never going to fix my lips and make a Steph Curry comparison, but just the energy and the off-ball movement, and just I do not want to cover that man. I do not want to cover him on a basketball court. It just looks exhausting. And obviously, I can't believe part isn't that Jared McCain is a good basketball player. It's just how bad this team is. And you've seen pretty much every minute of every Grizzlies game. They have not been healthy, but they're still winning games. Like the Mavs without Doncic won a game this weekend. Like teams get through difficult stretches in the season when they're missing key players. And the Sixers have absolutely not even shown a hint of that. Not even a hint of that. Because they had Maxey for a while, but they just overworked him, then he's out. And then George, you saw what a collective 17 minutes of the 3 of them playing together, if that. It's just been embarrassing. And I started looking at their schedule, right?
It's a leadership thing, too.
Yeah.
A lot of that, when you see teams that are able to keep it going in the absence of their players, a lot of times it's obviously everybody pulling the same rope and playing together as a team. But it is also that a lot of times the guys that are out, they're not despondent. They're totally engaged with the team. And it is about the team. It is not about just them individually. And so they're still the ones speaking up. They're still the ones coaching guys, right? When I watch over the weekend, just because you brought up the team that I'm around all the time, when I watch over the weekend, John Morant constantly going over to Scottie Pippen saying, attack, attack, attack. And then it ends up with the guy having a 30-point, 10-assist game in Chicago. It's like, whether he's playing or not, he's engaged. When I see Marcus Smart going over to Jalen Wells and saying, when he's driving baseline, do this and this, like having those guys engaged and being part of the greater good, though they're not a part of what the activity every night. And look, say whatever you want. The one thing we know about that team is that one of their younger players called out their franchise player for not even being at stuff.
I know. And another team that comes to mind like that is the Thunder. You know, they've missed Jalen Williams for a large stretch. They missed the other Jalen Williams for a couple games. And when you see that, it looks like their chemistry is well documented, but it just seems like the people that are out are contributing and very, very much engaged. And it just feels like the saga of the Sixers this season is not just not that. It seems like when Embiid is out, he's actually detrimental to the success of the team. Seriously.
And McCain is like this light amongst the total malaise.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, it is shocking that a guy that is that prolific at singing and dancing on TikTok is that awesome.
Can I just do my old guy TikTok thing for a second?
Those things would typically not line up. Would think, like, isn't he set up exactly to be the guy like, yeah, maybe you should get off freaking TikTok, right? Oh, Jared McCain's 1 for 8 from 3 again.
Yeah,
well, if you spend less time doing your stupid videos and getting in the gym. And it's like somehow this guy has the time to be awesome on social media and be awesome at basketball.
So everyone tells me how prolific he is on TikTok, so I go check him out and I watch some of the videos. I'm just gonna be old guy. Give me 30 seconds of old guy watching TikTok, okay?
Please.
I'm not impressed by this dancing. It seems like you barely move your feet, number one, and it seems like it's like not cool to try. So everyone just kind of like goes through the movements, kind of like half-ass. Like, I'm not impressed by this whole generation's quote-unquote dances, right? They're choreographed. You're stealing it from someone else. You add no sauce of your own, and they look like air traffic controllers. They're just doing hand movements. Seriously, they look like the guy at the airport who tells the plane to move to the left or the right and to shut off the engine or whatever. Like, they don't even dance. All right, old guy watching TikTok. Rant is over.
Let me interject here. So I'm watching the Cowboys-Commanders football game on Sunday, which is a great game, though, Les. Super
Crazy.
Exciting. So there's this guy that starts making all these plays as a defensive back for Dallas. Now, I'm a Dallas fan, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? They say Butler with another pass breakup. And I'm like, who is Butler? Like, what is going on? This is bizarre. And so then they say at one point, Kevin Burkhardt or whoever's calling the game, he's like, he last played in college 5 years ago. And I'm like, what? Is
it Elfrid Payton?
I'm like, well, so I go and look him up. I'm like, who is this guy? This guy's like making plays. He's like knocking down passes to Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin. And I'm like, who
this
are
is your
you?
team, too. Like, you're not just watching a random game. Like, I don't know the backup cornerback for, like, the Seahawks.
I don't even know who this is. So I said to my son, I said, William, who is this guy? He's like, I got no idea. I'm like, all right. They just said he last played in college 5 years ago. Did we just find the guy on the street? So I go and look it up, and it's like he played 5 years ago at Michigan State or whatever it was, and then he's played in like the USFL and some other like leagues and whatnot, and I guess he was on the practice squad and had a decent preseason, and he's on the practice squad, he's activated, and there he is, and he's like making these big pass breakups on third downs and stuff. And then I'm scrolling down, I'm reading about the guy, and I'm like, okay, so he just didn't go up in his dream and whatever. And then I get down to the last line, and it says, Butler is known for his 3.2 million TikTok followers.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, hold on. Did we find a corner off TikTok? I'm like, in between Jared McCain and this guy breaking up passes, like, maybe this is the new frontier. Maybe you can go.
So.
Yeah. His name is Josh Butler, and he for real has 3 million followers on TikTok. And it's like music, fashion, and something else. And I'm like, this is 2024, honestly.
Yeah, you know, none of the rookies ever go to the combines anymore. They just go to TikTok now.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need to go to the combine. We'll be at TikTok. Find my measurables there.
All right. The first thing I can't believe the Cavs 17-1 start isn't being treated like a massive deal. And
that's a great point.
It's not. This is the best start that we have had since the 93-94 Rockets, which is a team that won the title. Their offense, unbelievable. Defense, great. And only the 15-16 Warriors had a better start. And the 15-16 Warriors were crazy.
Yeah. And the Cavs and
crazy. Like, people thought it was cheating how good their roster was, that it was unfair. People still resent Kevin Durant to this day. And so you have really one thing that improved the team massively, and that's the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But they're now 17-1, and they have a 12.4 net rating so far this season, okay? 12.4. That means they have outscored their opponents on average by 12 points a game. The best net rating in the history of basketball is the 95-96 Bulls, which was 13.4. Number 2, and again, I get it, we're only through 18 games. But it's this year's Cavs. This year's Cavs is wedged between the 95-96 Bulls, the 96-97 Bulls, and the 2016-17 Warriors, and then last year's Celtics. But I mean, they're second right now in terms of net rating. So not only it's one thing to have been 17-1 through your first 18 games, not on national TV a ton, not a bunch of, not any really household names. I mean, Donovan Mitchell is certainly the biggest name on that team.
No one in the MVP conversation, and they've only lost one game.
And yet they are doing this at not only are they 17-1, like the rate in which they're doing it is historic. The way in which they are beating people's asses and having a net rating of 12.4 through the first 18 games of the season. I just feel like it has not gotten enough love. Like it's not headline news everywhere.
It was that Celtics game that was nationally televised.
I know.
When they were truly undefeated, there was a momentum, and it was sort of like a national story. And then that game was closer than you remember, because the Celtics kind of jumped out really hot in the first half, but the Cavs crawled back into that thing, and we all just sort of said, oh, ho-hum, the Celtics are still the sort of cream of the crop of the East. The Cavs, great start, cute story, but they still got to get over the mountaintop, still can't beat the Celtics. And I think that has diminished this accomplishment from this team. And you mentioned that they didn't really make any big moves outside of the head coach, but what they did do is got Ty Jerome back and got a healthy Darius Garland back, which have made a big difference. I saw Ty Jerome hit 9 threes in the first half of a game like a week and a half ago, bro.
Jeez Louise. And let me correct myself, because that 15-16 Warriors didn't have Durant yet. It was
they lost, and then they picked him up after that.
It was still Harrison Barnes. That was a 73-9 team.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite games of that game 7.
Amazing start to the season, and a team that went on to win 73 games.
But it is a good point from you, just as someone who pays a lot of attention to how the league is covered. It's like, we got a team with one loss. They've lost one game.
Well, and to me, it's almost more impressive to do it now as someone who's at games constantly throughout the year. The variance of this stuff is crazy.
Yeah.
If the
Nets beat the Warriors last night.
But I'm saying these teams shoot 45 threes, and some nights they make 10 of them, and then the night that they make 20 of them, you're smoked.
Yeah.
And so I actually think it's harder to be 17-1 than it has been in the past, because the game has gotten pretty sterilized where everybody's trying to look for the same things. They're looking for corner threes, they're looking for rim runs, and even the bad teams are shooting sometimes 40, 50 threes. I mean, those nights that they make 20, you're not going to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that speaks to how unbelievable it is, honestly, to be 17-1 through 18 games.
And they are, I think that people watched them get boat raced against the Celtics in the playoffs last year, but they were not healthy. They didn't have Jared Allen. They didn't have Donovan Mitchell. Like, they just were not healthy. But when I'm watching KP and the Celtics last night, I like their black uniforms. They look good. And that was kind of scary as someone who's got some hopes for the Eastern Conference playoffs. But the Cavs have a good matchup for that team. I really believe so.
We needed the Cavs too, because of what's happened with the Bucks and the Sixers.
Yes. And the Knicks, let's be honest. Like, the Knicks don't look like a powerhouse, and they're playing better than they did, the first 10 games.